Hey, what's good, everybody? I'd like to welcome you guys back to the Boombox Guru channel. I'm your host, LB, and today's video, I got another vinyl update for you guys. I wanted to show a few of the vinyl records that I own of Prince. Now, I don't have every Prince album on vinyl, but these few that I do have, these are just a few that I've bought sporadically over the years. That when I was really into vinyl, I was fortunate enough to find, and then some that even after I kind of got out of the whole vinyl thing, that I would come across and I would pick up. So it's not that many of them, but I figured that I would pull these out and show them to you guys, and maybe tell you guys a few stories about how I found them and what information that I found out about them as well when I came across them. So without further ado, let's get into this video. And of course, the first one, we're gonna start with Prince's debut album called "For You," released in 1978, and this is an original vinyl pressing. I actually found this at Manifest Records. Manifest was a record store. It was my favorite record store to go to. Sadly, they closed their doors at the end of last year. Still kind of bummed out about it. But when I would go there regularly, and I think this had to be around maybe 2014, I believe. I was there one day, as usual, browsing, looking at CDs, finding some gems, that I wanted to purchase. And as I was making my way over to the used section where they keep the used CDs and the used vinyl, one of the gentlemen that worked there at the time, he was over in the vinyl section zoning, straightening up the vinyl records. And I overheard him talking to another gentleman that worked there. I heard him call out to him and say, "Hey, man, there's a Prince vinyl over here, man. That's not going to be around long." So as soon as he walked away from that spot, I power walked. I'm not kidding you. I power walked right over there to where he was at. And I started looking. I was like, dang, where's it at? And finally, I came across the Prince album that he was talking about. And it was this one. It was "For You." And this was in pretty good condition, man, when I found it. I don't have it in the original like vinyl protection slip. Yeah, I don't have it. It was actually now that I think about it, it was still in the original like plastic from back then. And I don't know whoever owned this album back then. They took real good care of it. They must have knew what they had on their hands, and when they had this, man. But take it out the plastic so it won't be so much of a glare. Yeah, there now it looks better. But yeah, man, whoever had this, they took pretty good care of it. I mean, of course there is a bit. It's not in mint condition. Definitely, it's not in mint condition, man. I mean, there is some wear. There is some wear on the sleeve and so forth. But for the most part, considering that this was back in 1978 and it's an original pressing, I mean, it's very well taken care of, man. Oh, here's a really cool picture. There's a really cool picture of Prince right there playing his guitar. And yes, he is naked. But come on, man, it's Prince, dog. But yeah, that's a really cool picture. And I think that picture is also in the CD version. Yeah, I do own this on CD as well. But yeah, man, I was really glad to find this, man. It was one of the first Prince vinyl records that I came across. It wasn't the first one that I got, but it was probably maybe the second or third one that I found. But it was really cool to find this. It was also a little sentimental for me because I remember my dad, when I was a kid, he had the vinyl sleeve to this, but he didn't have the record. And I remember when I was a little kid and I would be looking at my parents' vinyl collection, I would always come across this sleeve, but I always wondered why wasn't there a record in there. And I asked him one day why there wasn't a record in there, and he said that he had to sell it. He had to sell a bunch of his albums because he needed money back then at one point. So it was really cool. And my dad, he's no longer here. He passed away around that same year when I found this record. But yeah, it was just kind of cool to see this kind of like full circle to where he had it, where he originally had it, and then I come across it as a young adult and end up purchasing my own version of it, man. But yeah, this is one of the coolest finds as far as Prince vinyl that I was able to come across in my search. But yeah. Okay, so next is Prince, his second studio album, his self-titled studio album called Prince. iconic album cover. I've seen there's like been a bunch of memes of this picture like for years, even before Prince passed. There was like a lot of funny memes uh about this uh about this album cover. There's a real funny one where people try to say that this is like that Prince was Jasmine Guy. Like they usually use this picture because, to be honest with you, Jasmine Guy kind of, there is kind of some similarities if you look at this picture and then you look at Jasmine Guy. For those of you that are fans of A Different World, you know who I'm talking about. But there was like this funny meme that was going around where people were saying that Prince was really Jasmine Guy or something on A Different World, and they used this picture to like kind of as a joke. This is the picture that they used, man. But but yeah, this album, I found this at a Hippo Cat. Hippo Cat at the time, it was a brick and mortar like store. I think they was in their first location. The first location they shared with another guy. He sold like musical instruments. But yeah, when I think at the time the owners, Luke and Amanda, I had built up a pretty good rapport with them at this point. They knew my musical taste, and they knew that I liked Prince. And I believe it was Amanda. She emailed me on Facebook one day when I was off work. I was on Facebook browsing around, I guess, and she messaged me. Excuse me, I said email. She messaged me on Facebook and told me that they had a Prince record in stock and wanted to know if I wanted it, and they would hold it for me. And I said, yeah, I'll come and get it there today. So I got off of Facebook right then and there, and I got in my car and I went down there, and they had it waiting for me. But yeah, this, I only paid $10 for this, and this is a 1979. I also have the CD version of this. Just so you know, most of these LPs I already have the CD version because, like I said, I'm more of a CD guy myself. But yeah, this was in pretty good condition. I mean, yeah, it does have a little bit of wear. I mean, you can see it a little bit better because it's still in the plastic from when I bought it at Hippo Cat. I didn't switch out the plastic on this one, but really cool back cover as well. There might be a picture. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, there is a picture. This one right here. This picture. That's another very popular Prince picture as well right here. Yeah. And here's the lyrics on the back as well. But yeah, man, they hooked me up with this, man. They hooked me up with it. They knew that I liked the Prince a whole lot, and they made sure I was able to get this copy, get this record, man. And I think I've only spent this record like maybe once or twice. Like I said, I mainly like vinyl. I mainly get vinyl as more of like a collection thing. I don't really spin the records all that much because honestly, the care for vinyl is very like meticulous in some ways, man. So I don't really spin them. But yeah, this was a really good find. I remember my parents, like the first time I ever heard the song "I Want to Be Your Lover." My parents had the 7-inch. They had the 7-inch of "I Want to Be Your Lover," and I remember like some weekends, my mom, God rest her soul too, she would spin those 7-inches, and me and her would like jam out to them. And sometimes my dad would come home and he would sit there and listen to the music as well. But I remember my parents, they had the 7-inch of "I Want to Be Your Lover," and the song "My Love Is Forever," which appeared on "For You," was the B-side. So I remember that, man. But yeah, this is a really good record. This has actually become one of my favorite Prince albums because it was slightly, you was starting to slightly get hints of where he was going. He started to add in a little bit more of that rock element into his sound as well, and just a really good record. This is one of Prince's earliest successes. Like with "I Want to Be Your Lover." That was a big hit. That was a big hit for Prince back in '79. But yeah, really glad to own this record, man. If you get a chance, man, try to find that meme if y'all can find it. But yeah, that was a real funny meme going around where they were trying to say Prince was Jasmine Guy and stuff, man. If you can find that, man, it's pretty funny. All right, so this next one, man, this is actually a recent one. I actually got this one like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But Dirty Mind, released in 1980. This is Prince's third studio album. I ordered this from Lunchbox Records. I ordered this from their website, and it came relatively quickly because Lunchbox Records is actually sort of like a local record store. I mean, it's not nowhere near where I live at, but it's not that long of a drive either if you get there. But yeah, I was on their website browsing around, and I typed in Prince just to see what they had in their inventory, and I don't know what popped up. I think it was the Welcome to America album and this Dirty Mind. And at the time they only had like five copies of the vinyl in stock. And at first I wasn't gonna get it, but then I was like, you know what, I really would like to have that on vinyl because Dirty Mind is one of my favorite Prince records. So I just went ahead and bought it. It wasn't that expensive. It was like $20 and some change. And with the shipping, it wasn't that bad. So I went ahead and got it, and it came relatively quick. But I was really excited to get this get this. You know, even though I'm probably not gonna really spin it, but just to get a larger picture of the album cover, because I think this is one of Prince's most iconic album covers. It was risky, you know, very androgynous and so forth, but it was risky. But just to get a larger picture of that, and then you know the original back cover as well. And this is a reissue. Yeah, 2021. So this came out last year. I don't know when. And there's a picture in here. Hold up. Yeah, right here. That picture. This is one of my favorite pictures of the Revolution, of Prince and the Revolution right here. This is the early version. I know some people will say, oh, well, they weren't known as the Revolution then, but it's the Revolution, to be honest with you. It's the Revolution. This is the early incarnation of them. You know what I'm saying? You got Dez Dickerson right there. You got Andre Simone, who, you know, he was Prince's best friend. Of course, you got Prince right there in the center. Bobby Z behind him. Dr. Fink. Lisa Coleman. This was Lisa's debut. This was her debut on a Prince record right here on the song called Head and so forth, man. But just a really dope record, man. This album was this album was a huge turning point for Prince, because I always say that this was the record where Prince really came into his own. I've even heard somebody say, I was listening to something the other day about Prince. I forget what I was watching. It was some interview. But they were talking about how, like, at this point Prince was about to get dropped from Warner Brothers, because his first two albums, I mean, they were moderately successful, but they didn't really do the numbers that the Warner Brothers was hoping for. And everybody knows the story that he like blew his budget on those first two records, so he literally didn't have any budget on Dirty Mind. So he actually recorded this album in his home studio, and I believe the versions that you hear on the album are the demo versions. I believe he had to fight with Warner Brothers in order to get them to release the record as it is. And to be honest, the fact that these are demo versions and they sound this good, that's amazing. That shows you the true, like, genius of Prince as a musician. But yeah, he was almost going to get dropped by Warner Brothers, and I think the story is he did this album because it was like, hey, well, this is it, you know, this is it. So I'm just gonna put out a record and just let it all out. And in turn, it ended up working out in his favor, because Dirty Mind, this is one of Prince's most critically acclaimed records. It's definitely his most risque, his most, like, explicit record, even by today's standards, you know. But still one of his all-time best records. This album set the stage for the remainder of his career in the 1980s, because there's a lot of traits on this record that would carry on onto other records. You know, look at the jacket. This was the debut of his famous trench coats, you know, with the gold plating on the shoulder, the gold shoulder plating. This album was the debut of that. So this was Prince really introducing himself to the 1980s, setting the stage for what his career would do for the remainder of that decade, man. But one of my all-time favorite Prince albums. If you've never heard this record, you need to go check it out. You need to go listen to it, man. It's one of his greatest records of all time. All right, so we're gonna skip Controversy in 1999 because I don't have vinyl versions of that. Although I do need to get 1999, because that one you can find that one at Walmart. And speaking of another one that you can find at Walmart, it's Purple Rain. But this is a picture disc version that I got at Walmart. Actually, I do plan on one day getting the the vinyl, the regular LP version. I I mean, you can spin a picture disc, but I always find it kind of weird, like spinning a picture disc. I feel like a picture disc is really more for collecting. Like people like to frame these and put them up on their wall and stuff like that. So I don't think I've even opened this since I bought it. And I think I bought it like a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, they had this at Walmart. This is a reissue that came out around that time. As you can see, it's got the Warner Records, not Warner Brothers, down there. But yeah, not much I can say about this. Everybody knows Purple Rain. You know, Purple Rain. That's what made Prince a superstar. But I just thought it was really cool to have a picture disc version. But yeah, pretty cool, man. All right, next is "Around the World in a Day" by Prince and the Revolution, released in 1985. Another one of my favorite Prince albums of all time. I found this at Manifest Records too. Yeah, I was just over in the vinyl, in the used vinyl section, just looking through to see what I could find, and I came across this, and of course I snatched it up. But yeah, "Around the World in a Day." Another story behind this, man. When I was in college, one of the last classes I had to take before I graduated was this art appreciation class, and you had to bring in some type of piece of artwork. I don't remember the details of the assignment, but it had something to do with like shapes and symmetry and stuff in artwork. But you had to bring in an assignment and kind of point out certain like shapes and stuff that was in it. It had something to do with a prior like lesson we had learned. But I chose this album cover actually because it actually folds out the full layout. Hold on, let me see if I can do it. Yeah, here we go. Here's like the full layout of it. But and yeah, it's gatefold. Here's the lyrics. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, here's the lyrics inside. I'm not sure if there's a picture because I haven't looked at this. Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not a picture in here. It's just regular. Well, unless there might have used to be one, and whoever had this before took it out or something. But I didn't actually take this vinyl. I didn't actually take this record to class. I went on the internet and found a picture of the full layout of the record and used that in my class. I downloaded it to my USB port, and teacher like uploaded it up on the, what do you call it? I forget what you call that thing in the class where they show pictures or whatever. But yeah, and I actually got a good grade on it. But something really funny is, if you notice back here, back behind here, you know, for years I thought that was just a mountain. And then I was looking at this album when I bought the album cover. I was looking at it one day. I was looking at this right here. I was like, why is there like a piece of candy just sitting right there? And then it dawned on me, like, okay, wait a minute, that's actually a nipple. And then I looked even closely, and I was like, oh, so this is a naked woman laying back here. Oh, okay. And I was like, good thing nobody picked up on that when I showed this picture in class, because I probably would have gotten in trouble. But in any regards, man, really great record. I enjoy it. It's one of my favorites. I think a lot of people got kind of put off by this record because I guess because Prince was still coming off the heels of Purple Rain. He had did the Purple Rain tour in '85 and so forth, but the whole while all that was going on, he was writing and recording for Around the World in a Day. So people were expecting like a Purple Rain too, like a sound similar to that, but it was a complete 180, man. This is very eclectic, very psychedelic, eclectic type stuff, man. Like world music, all kinds of interesting like styles and concepts that weren't necessarily radio accessible like Purple Rain. I think Wendy and Lisa were a huge part of the formation of this record, because yeah, he was working with them a lot around this period, and they had a lot to do with like the experimentation that was taking place. Also, of course, this is Prince and the Revolution right here, but I always wondered. Of course, this is clearly Prince because he has on the same outfit, the same suit that he wears in the Raspberry Beret video. But I always wondered why his hair was blonde. So it hasn't even been this long ago I found out. I think it was from there's a YouTube channel on here called The Violet Reality. They do videos about Prince, and they do a series like the facts you didn't know about his albums. they haven't done one in a long time. I think they're like artists themselves, so I think they're kind of focusing on other stuff and not their YouTube channel. But when they did their video on Around the World in a Day, they told that the reason why the picture of Prince, why the drawing of Prince, he has blonde hair is because he had actually dyed his hair blonde around this time. And but the reason why it's not blonde by the time he started dropping the videos and stuff for the album is because he had he had an allergic reaction to the dye, and he ended up having to wash it out and cut his hair. That's why his hair was a different style too. And also, I think that hairstyle was inspired by a young lady that he had met in Los Angeles as well. But that's why his hair was short, because he had to cut it because he had a bad allergic reaction to that dye. But I just always thought it would have been really interesting to see Prince with like blonde hair. I wonder if there's any pictures of him, if there were any pictures taken of him during that period, man. That would really be interesting to see Prince with blonde hair, different color hair, man. But yeah, just a little interesting little facts that I wanted to throw in there about the album, and also Prince, him, Wendy, and Lisa, they actually started working on this record like in 1984, like around the time that when the Purple Rain mania was happening. They was already moving in this direction musically too. So that's just another little trivia thing I wanted to throw in there as well. All right, so the next LP I have right here is Sign of the Times, released in 1987. Well, how long was it? Was it like 2 years ago? Was it 2 or 3 years ago when they did that super deluxe of Sign of the Times? I think it was 2 years ago. But I bought that super deluxe though. But I don't have it. I got it put up somewhere because to me that's just a collector's item. But I did buy like a standard CD version, remastered version of the album to, like, have in my car to jam out to whenever I want to listen to this record. But this is an original vinyl pressing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Around the World Today is also an OG vinyl pressing as well. But yeah, this was actually the first vinyl album that I bought, and I bought this at HippoCat. Actually, it was the first time I went there. I bought this album. Yeah, a guy I used to work with, we used to call him Lil Rob. He was friends with the owners of HippoCat, and he told me, I was telling him about how I was thinking about getting into like buying vinyl records and stuff, and getting a record player. I didn't know where to look, and he told me, say, yeah man, you should go to this place. I know the owners. Yeah, they sell vinyl, and they also got record players there for sale too. So I went there one day, like early before work. I think maybe I was going to work later or something. I don't know, but I went there and bought this album. I went in there, I was looking around. They had some pretty cool vinyl, man. But then I came across this, and I was like, man, Prince, not bad for a first find on my vinyl search. And it's Sign of the Times, one of his best records, man. So this is a double album. It's a double album. Here's a picture. That's Prince and that's Cat Glover. I know a long time ago there was rumors going around that this was Prince dressed in drag. Yeah, there was rumors going around that this was Prince dressed in drag, but that's not Prince dressed in drag. That's Cat Glover. She was a member of I guess what they call the Counter Revolution, after Prince had disbanded the original Revolution. Yeah, that's her. And there's another picture here too. It's a Prince right here. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the lyrics are on the back of those as well, of the songs, and so forth. But yeah, this double set album, it was originally going to be a triple set album. Like, there was a lot of songs that was recorded during this era. Actually, the Sign of the Times era is probably one of Prince's most prolific eras. It was probably one of his most prolific eras, next to like the Gold Experience era, because he recorded a lot of music. A lot of the stuff he recorded for this, he started recording like in '86 after the Parade sessions. And there was a lot of stuff he was doing at that time. I think the Revolution was supposed to do another album called Dream Factory, which I believe they did record, but because Prince disbanded them, he like shelved the record. So I think that's actually a vault album. And I want to say he recorded, was Rose Garden, I forget the name of that album, the Rose Garden. I think that might have been recorded around this time. I might be mistaken. If I am, I know a lot of y'all in the Prince community will jump on here and correct me. I know how a lot of y'all are, but yeah, I just know that the Sound of the Times era was one of Prince's most prolific eras. He did so much. He was doing the Camille Project, the Black album, the infamous Black album was recorded around this time, I believe. Uh, it might have, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was recorded around that time. He did so much around this era, man. He did so much around this era. But I know the Black album got scrapped for Love Sexy though, which is a really great record. Excuse me, a really great record in my opinion. But it was just a very prolific era for Prince at this point. And yeah, it was supposed to be a triple set record, but of course Warner Brothers balked at that. They told him no, he couldn't do it, but they did allow him to trim it down to at least a double set record. There were some songs that appeared on here that were supposed to be, I believe, on the Dream Factory album. I believe, I think, there were some songs. I can't really call which ones were supposed to be on there, but there were some. There were. I do know the songs that were supposed to be on the Camille album, and we all know Housequake was one of them. You Got the Look. If I Was Your Girlfriend, Strange Relationship. Any of the songs where Prince is using that sped up high pitched voice, those are the Camille. Those are songs that are supposed to be the Camille songs, and that's pretty much most of the Camille songs anyway. So people always talking about they should put out the Camille album. There really is no point in putting out the Camille album because most of the songs have already been released, and you can kind of just create your own like kind of album with the songs that are already out there. Let's see, because I think a few of the Camille songs ended up on the Black album, I think. But just a great record. The Ballad of Dorothy Parker, a great song. Razzcast actually sampled that on his second album, Rassassination. He sampled it on that one song. I can't think. Lap Dance. I think it's the name of that song, Lap Dance. Play in the Sunshine. That was one of my favorites on the album. And I only found out recently that the lyrics, he's actually talking about like Morris Day, the fallout with Morris Day and so forth. If you listen to some of the lyrics, he's talking about the fallout of, him and Morris Day not speaking to each other for years and so forth. Of course, the title track, Sign of the Times, which is one of Prince's greatest tracks. Very socially conscious, a song that is very much still relevant in today's times as well, man. Let's see, Hot Thing is another great track. I'm not sure if Hot Thing was ever released as a single, but I know it was really popular on the radio back in the day. It was a dance club number, that song was definitely fit for the club. But there's also like a bunch of extended mixes of Hot Thing, and I believe most of those mixes are in the super deluxe version that they put out a couple of years ago. Let's see, I Can Never Take the Place of Your Man. The album version is crazy, man. I remember the only version I had of this when I was a kid was the one that was the single version that was on the Hits compilation album. And when my mom bought me the CD of it years ago, and I heard that album version, I was blown away at that kind of breakdown part. Where Prince goes in the kind of little like bluesy kind of guitar solo. I was amazed at that part. Because, I was so used to the single version, and then to hear that longer version of it on the album, I was blown away by it. And let's see, The Cross, I really did The Cross. I think that's one of Prince's most underrated rock songs. That's one of his greatest rock songs in my opinion, but people never really talk about it much. I think he did a performance of that at like the MTV Video Awards one year. I believe he did. I'm not sure. But I've seen live performances of that song from back then. But that's one of his best rock songs, in my opinion. It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night. That's like one of the last tracks I believe he did with the Revolution. And it's a live version. I believe there was a studio version that was recorded, but Prince didn't like it. He scrapped it. He said because the studio version just didn't have the same energy as the live version. And he's correct. I'm not somebody that's really big on live songs that much, but I gotta admit that the live version on here is definitely killer. It's definitely killer, man. You really feel the essence of that energy. I think it was from a live performance they did in Paris, somewhere overseas, because Prince was touring a lot overseas at this point, because he was having a better reception over there than he was in America. And then of course Adore is the album, one of Prince's greatest ballads. Let's see, Slow Love. I like Slow Love. I like the old school kind of 50s kind of a slow jam vibe of that. But so many great songs on here. Forever in My Life. You know what I'm saying? Starfish and Coffee. This whole entire album is just great, man. One of his best records, man. One of his greatest albums. A lot of people consider this to be his greatest work in a lot of cases, man. But just a wonderful album. Glad that I own it. I got like 4 versions of this. I got this version. I got the old school CD version of it. Then I got another CD version of it that came out like back in 2011. And then I got the remastered version. Then I got the super deluxe. So that's like 5 or 6 versions of this album. So definitely one of my favorites, man. But yeah, Sign of the Times by Prince, man. Great record. And last but not least, this actually isn't a 12. I mean, it's not 12-inch. This is a 7-inch that I wanted to show to end this off. And this is actually a 7-inch of Purple Rain with the B-side God theme from Purple Rain. So I wanted to show this because I didn't know this, but this version, if you find a 7-inch version, the all purple, you have a gem. This is a rarity. I didn't know this, but so I bought this at HippoCat as well, and I only paid $18 for it, and I didn't realize how much of a steal that was because I got this. I think Prince had passed away like a couple of days earlier, and I was on my day off, and I showed up. At this point, HippoCat had moved into their new location, and I went there, and they had this. And I remember Amanda, she was there working, and she was like, "Yeah, man, when we got that in, we thought about you." And I hurried up and snatched it up, man. But I didn't know how rare this was, man. But to have the all purple 7-inch version of this is a rarity, and I'm very fortunate that I actually found this, man. It's almost like I was meant to have it, man. But I remember my parents, they used to have the original. They had this is an original too. They had a 7-inch version of this, but it wasn't like this. It was just a regular all black one. But yeah, when I seen it was all purple, I was like, whoa, that's cool. But I'm trying to read something, and I think this has got, there's like some kind of little message on here. No, it's like some kind of little numbers written on the groove. Or I thought it might have been like a message or something. Yeah, it's just some numbers, unless those numbers mean something on here. I'm trying to see right quick. Yeah, I don't know. I think those are just some numbers that are written on the groove, but it could mean something. But yeah, I didn't realize how much of a rarity this was. So if you're in a record store and you ever come across like the purple version and it's for a reasonable price, you better grab it, because this is a rarity. I didn't even realize until I started looking it up a few years later, and I was like, whoa, this was rare. Even before Prince died, this was rare. But yeah, very, very glad and fortunate that I had this in my collection too. Alright, so that's it for this video. Showing you my Prince vinyl records, the ones that I do have. Like I said, I don't have everything. I am considering maybe trying to get back into maybe finding more of his records on vinyl. 1999 is an easy one. You can find that at in big box stores like Best Buy, Walmart. You can find that at retail. Most retail stores now are selling vinyl records because it's so popular now. But 1999 is one that shows up quite often. Another one that I want to get is Parade. Under the Cherry Moon soundtrack. That one, I don't think has been reissued, but OG pressings of it pop up quite a bit. They pop up quite a bit. There's actually a local record store that I go to, and I'm not gonna name it because some of y'all might go down there and try to snatch up a version before I get it. But there's a local record store that I go to every once in a while. The gentleman that runs the place, he posts new stock of vinyl, and Parade pops up quite a bit. It pops up quite a bit, man. And I've actually seen Dirty Mind a lot too, or OG pressings of Dirty Mind prior to them reissuing it. I haven't seen Controversy. I've only seen Controversy pop up a few times, and I've never seen Love Sexy. I would like to have Love Sexy on vinyl as well. I've never seen that record pop up anywhere on vinyl. I'm pretty sure you can get it online, but I mean, as far as going around the mom and pop record stores, I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen the Batman soundtrack either. So Yeah, I would like to get all of those eventually on vinyl. I don't know if Graffiti Bridge was ever released on vinyl because that album came out in 1990. And, by that time CDs had really came more into play. Uh, I don't know about Diamonds and Pearls. I've heard rumors about a Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe, so they may reissue that on vinyl as well. But yeah, that's all that I have for now. But it is what it is, man. I just wanted to do this for fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. If you did enjoy this video, do me a huge favor. Uh, Give me a thumbs up, hit that like button because it helps with the algorithm. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap that bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop new content. Also want to thank everybody that's been subscribing to the channel, everybody that's been watching the videos and showing your support. I truly appreciate it. I humbly and truly appreciate it. And as always, hope everybody has a blessed day, a blessed week. Love, peace, and music. Peace out, y'all.